So, Sword Art Online Season 2. Oh, why? Why? Start from the basics. I'm not as enamored of this as I was of Season 1. It doesn't, it doesn't grab you right off the bat like Season 1 does. The animation is still amazing. The designs are still amazing. I just feel kind of let down because a big part of the reason that I got into anime in the first place is because in Japan, animation is respected as a storytelling medium. Over here it's considered childish kid stuff. The only adult cartoons are crude humor like South Park or Archer. Yeah, there really isn't the same sort of cultural acceptance and dignity that it gets in Japan. And so that's a part of the reason I got into anime, because since it's considered a legitimate, mature storytelling medium, then they actually tell complete stories. When they've once they've completed the story, they just stop. Like a lot of shows, they only go one season because that's all they need. They go until they're done, and then the story is complete, and then they leave it alone. And I appreciate that. It's not like, over here where you have to keep going and keep making more and keep, hoping for sequels in the case of movies, and just constantly leave things open ended to make sure that you can always add more on to the end of it. So a little bit disappointed that they didn't just I'm a little disappointed that they didn't just leave it alone, because it was good. It was done. It didn't need any more. But with that said, I do like it well enough, I guess. It's okay. It's like I said, the artwork and animation are just as great as they always were. Though there's more fans. There's a little more fan service in this one. Like right off the bat, you get like you're getting uh, mostly centered around one character. In fact, but anyway, I always do this. Let's back up a little bit. Season 2, rather than revolving around an entire virtual world where everyone could end up dead, it revolves around a cyber serial killer who is picking off individual players. He calls himself Death Gun. He wears a black cloak and skull mask, Natch, and he has this. He's this gun and I share the same name, Death Gun. So he shoots someone. It's a new MMO called Gun Gale. Every single game in this universe ends with online, so I'm not going to bother adding that. So, a game called Gun Gale, and Death Gun shoots at a guy, shoots the guy, actually shoots him on a screen, and then he dies in real life. In response to this, and one or two other incidents, the same people who were helping with the SAO incident come and contact Kirito, because apparently they don't have anyone in their department who plays the games themselves well enough to do anything in the virtual world. They contact Kirito and say, hey, there's this rumor about a guy killing people in real life from this new game. It might be nothing, but obviously it's not nothing. So they send him into this Gun Gale game, where he meets Sinon, who is in real life a basically PTSD teenager. She got caught in a robbery and she ended up shooting the robber. That's a minor spoiler, I guess, but you get there by the second or third episode, so I don't consider that a spoiler if it happens that early on. And that's just the introduction to her character, so it's not, like I said, not a spoiler. I like her. I like her character, though she is the kind of the fan service girl while she's in the game, and that's kind of a little bit eye-rolly, but whatever. She would always freak out whenever she so much as saw an image of a gun. So her friend suggested, hey, how about some immersion therapy and you go into this game all about guns? Which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but apparently it worked perfectly because, well, not perfectly, because when she's in the game, she's completely fine. She can look at guns, she can shoot guns, she can do absolutely anything. But then as soon as she comes back out, it's made basically no difference in her real life. So it's kind of like all of her real world strength is going into her virtual self instead of her virtual self helping her cope with her real life. I like that. It's an interesting kind of thing, but not. I don't know. It's like I said, I'm just kind of disappointed a little bit with the whole thing, and especially okay. This tells you something for the first few episodes because I've watched a decent way, and I think I've watched through episode 10 or 11. Um, yeah, there are only 12 episodes out right now, and I didn't want to get it right up to the end because I was at a okay stopping place, so I just stopped. For the first few episodes, the most exciting and thing I was most interested in was the credit sequence because I saw what appeared to be Asuna kicking. Asuna turned into a Jedi, just slicing everybody up with a lightsaber, and I was like, "Oh yes, Asuna's back on the action." But no, it's just Kirito's new avatar, and everyone mistakes him for a girl because he has such long hair. That's how he ends up meeting Sinon. It's like, oh wait, because he's getting constantly harassed because everyone thinks he's a girl, and he's like, oh man, if this girl thinks I'm a guy, she's probably used to that same treatment and she'll blow me off. So he goes along pretending to be a girl until they get to this one place, until they get to the important thing, and then he reveals himself, and she's like, "You jerk, smack." Anyway, get. I'm not going to talk too much more about it because I'm going to start spoiling things. Like I said, it doesn't hit you right off the bat like season one did, but it does hit its stride. It does get going. It's worth checking out eventually. Like, I'd say wait for the whole thing to come out. It's not something that you have to jump on right away. It's not something that really, really keeps you coming back until, a few episodes in you start getting, they start getting deeper into this sort of this sort of conspiracy and who this death gun person is and all that stuff. And the time frame is much much shorter for this show than for season one. Like in season one, the first half of season one, like 2 years or so went by. And then in the second half, it was, I think, several weeks. And in this one, it's just been like 2 or 3 days. So, yeah, that's an interesting thing. But, whatever floats your boat. I'm not that excited about it. I feel like I'm finishing it more out of duty than out of actual interest, but I'm still going to finish it. So, you know, watch it eventually if you feel like it. Other than that,